How Glitch is confronting the dark side of Disney. This could be a good one.
Glitch Productions, the studio behind shows like The Amazing Digital Circus and Murder Drones, has just released the trailer for their upcoming show, The Knights of Guinevere. It's created by Dana Terrace, and with the pilot having a release date of September 19th, it's also right around the corner. While watching the trailer, however, something stood out to me. The show is clearly inspired by Disney, and not in the good way. It's not exactly a secret that Disney has seen better days as of late.
Yeah, how did First Steps do? The worst thing is they doubled their budget, but that's not like good. I mean, half a billion though. I think that's pretty good.
They have movies underperforming left and right, and new controversies springing up like weeds. On the creation level, I would argue that much of these missteps are the results of poor decision making and overreach from the company executive.
Oh yeah, I've seen so many people shit on like Pixar animation now. Just saying they use the, what do they say now? The bean mouth or something like that?
Whether that's inserting things, removing things, or anything in between, it's clear many creatives are not happy about the way the company has treated its projects. And, undeniably, one of the biggest mistakes Disney has made in this department in the last 5 years was its treatment of the
Steven Universe, the CalArt style. Everyone says CalArt style, but that doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make sense. That was like an old Tumblr rent from like 2015 or something, and it's just stuck.
The Owl House. Whether or not you were a fan of the show, you have to admit its cancellation was a mistake for Disney. The Owl House was originally pitched in 2016 to 3 different
Oh yeah, I've seen people say Grubhub style as well.
networks: Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and of course, the Disney Channel, where it eventually ended up residing. Disney was chosen specifically because, according to Dana Terrace herself, it seemed more open to queer themes and characters. Additionally, at the time, both Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network mainly wanted to pick up episodic 11-minute comedy shows, and that wasn't the direction Terrace wanted to go in with her show. On top of all of that, it's not really a surprise she went with Disney, considering she...
I don't think I've watched like any kids animated show recently. The most recent show that I've watched is probably Batman the Animated Series, because it dropped on Netflix. Because I've watched like bits here and there, and they included most of the episodes when it dropped on Netflix. And that show's really good. Because they had some rules where it's like, you can't kill anyone because it's a kid's show. So they'd have things like, for example, the Joker would release like laughing gas that would give people like a pale expression, yellow eyes, and this huge like grimacing smile. But because they weren't technically dead, it was allowed. It's a really, yeah, they did a really good job with that show.
You'd worked on prior Disney Channel shows
Batman Beyond. Yeah, that's good as well.
before, like...
They did a film, I think, of that. What was it? Batman Beyond Return of the Joker? That was cinema. Yeah, there it is. Watch this on VHS. Jesus. Yeah, that film is like really fucking good.
Gravity Falls and DuckTales 2017. She already understood much of how the studio worked, and she already knew people there who could work on her show.
Yeah, they had like animation changes in Batman the Animated Series. They made the Joker worse, but they made some people like the Scarecrow better. Let's have a look at the... see the Joker. Yeah, so that was the Joker originally. And that was him in like the later seasons. And he looked worse. They gave him like black eyes and stuff like that. He just looked just not as good, I think. He looked better in the original ones. But then they improved characters like Scarecrow. Scarecrow looked a lot better when they changed him. Yeah. Yeah, that was a huge... Oh, yeah, that was like the first season. Just a guy in a hood. Just looked terrible. But then, obviously, in the later seasons, they changed him to that, and it was just such an improvement. I think I read somewhere that, like, when they drew it on paper... What do they call it for animators? Like cells or something? Because they didn't use computer programs back then. It was like they drew it on black, so everything just looked so much darker, like, on purpose, even when it was, like, during the day in the show.
show. Terrace would later retroactively say that if she had made the Owl House with a different studio, she probably would have had a different team, a tighter budget, and shorter episode lengths. All of this is to say, Disney seemed like the perfect choice, but as I'm sure you've gathered, or as I'm sure you know, that all went downhill. The studio initially ordered 2 seasons of the Owl House, each one consisting of around 20 episodes, and during the rollout of season 1, it seemed to be doing well. It was getting decent numbers, and the crew knew that they were going to get picked up for a 3rd season. However, on May 17th of 2021, about a month before the release of season 2, Dana Terrace announced some very tragic news on her Twitter page. In response to someone congratulating her on season 3, she said, "This is a shortened order from our expected 10 to 20 episode pickup. It was unexpected, and focusing on this situation was the main reason I left Twitter a while back." Someone then followed that up by asking if that meant season 3 would be the final season, and Dana Terrace confirmed it. Basically what happened was that despite the show doing well and building towards a 3rd season that Disney seemingly wanted to do, Disney decided to can it, giving the show only 3 more episodes to finish up its whole story while citing that the show no longer fit their brand. Many Owl House fans initially interpreted this to mean that Disney was cutting the show because of its queer representation, but Dana Terrace herself...
I just find it crazy how like Disney completely dropped doing animated films entirely for CG, and then the live action remakes and stuff that are just slop. Like, what was the last Disney animated film? I think it was Princess and the Frog, right?
Later confirmed this to be false. In my personal opinion, it seems much more likely that the show was cancelled because of panic.
What are you drinking? It's a Schweppes Blood Orange and Mango mineral water.
Executive decisions during the pandemic. Anyways, while season 2 was rolling out, Dana Terrace said this about the cancellation. "The meeting was extremely frustrating because we were doing well, we were getting decent numbers. It didn't make sense, especially during a time where the studio should have been supporting crews and artists and their production staff, and we were getting none of that on top of the show getting cancelled. It was just so much, and it took a while to recover from that creatively. It was only after cancelling the show that those executives realized that they had made a mistake." Dana Terrace would go on to say, "At first the executives would see the show trending every day on Twitter and be like, oh, anyone can trend on Twitter, that doesn't actually mean anything. But seeing the views on YouTube and seeing the people who came to New York Comic Con gave them a much better idea of, oh no, the show is actually successful." Unfortunately though, by the time those executives realized this, the show was already cancelled. Dana Terrace was obviously frustrated with this. She did everything right. She made a show for them which was successful, and then they cancelled it, only for them to later realize that they judged it too quickly. They had made a mistake. The thing is, this mistake messes up people's jobs, their livelihoods, their art, and their passions. How could Disney make a mistake like this? They literally had all the viewership numbers and stats right in front of them. This is executive incompetence. And since then, Dana Terrace has stated multiple times that she would not make a season 4 of the Owl House if given the chance. Now, this is the part of the story where Glitch comes in. On January 17th of 2025, a new independently animated...
I do feel bad for so many of these animators that like they have a passion project that they've probably had since they were like a teenager or something, and it's like, okay, finally I've trained myself to draw and get a team. Disney gave me the budget, I can visualize it, and then it's like we're gonna cancel it. We won't really say why.
Animated show is announced. It's called The Knights of Guinevere, and one of its creators is none other than Dana Terrace. The studio behind it is Glitch Productions, possibly the largest and most popular indie studio in the whole world, at the very least it's top 2. And they're known for basically letting their showrunners make whatever the heck...
Yeah, I haven't watched much from Glitch, I'll be honest. I've seen some Digital Circus that does like insane numbers on YouTube.
They wanted,
but what's the other show they've got? Murder Bots or Murder Drones?
as long as it wouldn't get banned off YouTube.
I just keep seeing like characters from that show in VR chat videos for some reason.
Meaning it has a lot more creative freedom than Disney ever did. Outside of her Owl House artwork, Dana Terrace had always been known for drawing some pretty disturbing things, particularly body horror. You could see that inspiration in the Owl House, but obviously because of the show's demographics, she could never go that crazy with it. But now, in this teaser for Glitch's Knights of Guinevere, you can see that horror in full display. At Disney, Terrace had been restricted, both in the episodes, as I've just recounted, but also in it being a family.
Big Mouth is peak. How many seasons are there? 8! 8 seasons of Big Mouth. You don't need that many. I actually have not watched a single episode of Big Mouth. I mean, there has to be a reason they keep making it. There has to be an audience that is watching that show.
Show. Now, she's basically free and can do what she pleases, and most importantly, there's no executive meddling. This isn't all about Dana Terrace, however, as I'm sure you noticed there's 2 other names on the Knights of...
Can you do a React Andy stream to season 1 of Big Mouth? No, for 2 reasons. 1, I don't want to, and 2, Netflix would take the stream down.
Guinevere creators credit, those being John Bailey Owens and Zach Marcus. The first wrote on Future Worm, and the second wrote on Star vs. the Forces of Evil, but most importantly, they both also wrote on The Owl House. So they all have that bad work experience. Yesterday, we finally got the trailer for the Knights of Guinevere, and it could not be more obvious that it was made by a bunch of artists who were screwed over by Disney. The trailer opens up to a view of a theme park with a large statue of a princess overlooking many castles. It's clear that this park is themed around the princess, but as the narration suggests, this was a long time ago. A little girl is seen walking towards a bed in a large room surrounded...
It's the silent majority like Yellowstone's viewers. I've heard nothing but good things about Yellowstone, but I don't know anyone that actually watches it.
by gifts. From the following scenes, it's safe to assume that none other than the mascot of the park, the princess herself, is the one laying in the bed. Another shot of the bed shows it surrounded with medical supplies, and the narration describes the...
One thing I always see about these animated shows is like background artists are not appreciated enough. But the amount of time that is put into that stuff is crazy. And you might only see it for like a couple of seconds.
Princess being trapped by machines running on blood and fear. Then suddenly the old film burns away and we presumably cut to the modern day. The park is run down and covered in trash and graffiti. We get a shot of the little girl pulling on a vital of this living princess machine as an older man stands above her. We get another shot of this older man later on. It seems to be a video of him from long ago. He addresses the camera and tells the audience to meet the different versions of the princess.
Does that guy just look like Andrew Ryan?
If you zoom in, one of these versions is a live-action version that nobody asked for. Another one is a doll. But then all of the scenes cut away and we're left with a series of much more violent ones as the show's logo grows towards the audience. While watching this, it's impossible not to compare it to Disney. The parks with the castles and princesses long past their glory days. Scenes of this man who you could argue does bear some resemblance to Walt Disney. And then of course this jab at live-action remakes, a very clear...
Do you remember the rumor about like Walt Disney having his head frozen so they could revive him later?
Reference to Disney's most recent obsession. Glitch also put out a very brief summary alongside the trailer saying, Knights of Guinevere is a psychological thriller that welcomes you to a planet-wide theme park in the clouds, and the shadows below where a broken princess android is 2 dreamers' tickets to better lives, or the end of them. This reads exactly like a corporate monopolistic dystopia to me. I mean, a world that looks like this that was also a planet-wide theme park? Just look at the residents' present day. Clearly whatever company this is didn't care enough for the common man. Or at the very least, the company abandoned them when things got tough. Maybe that was when the I'm
literally Judas. You're in about Judas from the Bible, or you're in about Judas the new Bioshock game? Actually, what happened with that? Yeah, this is like the new Bioshock game from like Ken Levine that did Bioshock. What happened with that? Just no announcement at all. God, I really hope that game's good though. Yeah, there was a trailer for it like, what, like 2 years ago or something? Judas is too similar to Bioshock for me to care. What do you mean? Like, the last Bioshock we got was Infinite, and that was like well over 10 years ago. What?
I mean, when the animatronic princess died? I'm drifting a tad into theory territory here, but I think you can see the parallels I'm drawing to the Owl House's team's own experiences at Disney. And regardless of what we think of that last point, I think we can all agree that this is clearly inspired by Disney, and not in the good way. It was around 10 years ago now that Dana Terrace first
Thank you,
started
Mr.
working on what we know
Loses, for 4
today
months.
as the Owl House. What many people don't know, however, is that the show didn't exactly come from the purest of intentions. She had shown a very early version of the story to a writing partner who called it boring and said that nobody would watch it. And it was out of spite that Terrace created the 15-page pitch bible that would be used in pitching the show to studios. So I'm just saying, if Dana Terrace was able to create an entire successful TV show out of spite because someone called the idea boring, just imagine what she's going to do to Disney.
The anti-woke cartoon. Oh my god, I remember that. The new norm. How everyone was ribbing on that on Twitter.